So a bad habit that people have when they study the Bible is they will look at the English translation and be like, look, it says such and such, but they don't go to the original language.
Okay, so you say let's go to the original language, but then you show us a bunch of English versions, and then you jump to Hebrew in Genesis, but never actually the original language of the verse in question. So with that in mind, let's look at this verse in Greek, and we'll see that the word is the same word that we use for salvation. And the example below here, Matthew 1:21, she will bear a son, and you will call him name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins. This word in Greek, sozo, is the same word used in 1 Timothy 2, verse 15. So you see, here's the definition. Sozo, which is the word which is always used for save, and often translated that way, and is the primary word when talking about being saved from your sins. Now, I'm not trying to make an implication that you have to give birth physically to children to be saved, because, like you say in the original video, women who can't give birth will then be damned, because that would be the implication. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just making the point that if we're going to say, look at the original languages, the original language is the same word used for saved in the sense of salvation. So there is more nuance here than just saying, oh, well, it doesn't mean that because other English Bibles say preserved or whatever. And I will agree that I think this is a point back to Genesis 3. I think it was Genesis 3 that you pointed out about Eve, and there is some tie in there, I will agree. But I don't think we can just throw these out and say, oh, well, we could translate it preserved in a different way or whatever. Therefore, it can't mean saved, even though it is the same word in Greek that is translated as saved in any other instance where you would want the word saying saved. But if we go back to this verse in Matthew 1 and use the alternative and say, for he will preserve his people from their sins, or he will deliver his people from their sins, it still works. It still has the same implication. So whether the verse in Timothy says preserved or delivered or saved, it's the same implication from the Greek word that we would use in any other instance. So how we understand what Paul's writing here needs to be, that's what we need to understand. Like you say, context is key. So we need to look at that and not just throw it out because we don't like the word saved.